everything. We've done our verbal vomit and we've now clustered these ideas into some form of overarching themes so that they can start to create a vision in our minds to be able to cluster together and push into a definitive step-by-step process. So the next phase here is our define phase. So it will be followed by experimenting and testing, and part of that experimenting will happen in our final process here today. But what we're going to do now is we are going to define our step-by-step. So we're going to review our clusters and we're going to look for one piece of content, which is one problem, one idea, one story. And then we're going to do that again. We're going to do that again. And once we have between 3 and 7 of these, we can now put them into a framework where we are sharing our IP and sharing education and training. There are many different ways that this can look, but together we are going to be creating one teachable framework. So essentially, this is Sam's bounce forward. Each one of these steps has its own problem, idea, and a story to back it up. So crisis, downturn, bounce, opportunities, bounce forward. Other ways to look at it is if when I was creating this, going through this process, I was looking at the journey to become a niche industry influencer. So when I was looking at what is that journey, how do people get from nowhere to somewhere? Our process was we all start in the space of unknown. Nobody knows you, but you've got an idea, you've got a vision, and you have a path that you want to follow to become an influencer in your space. But the problem is that when we have such a big gap between where we are and where we want to go, it seems impossible to get there. So there needs to be a step-by-step process. Once we've made the decision that where we want to go is towards influence, then we start to test our market. We start to test our ideas. We start to test our ideal target market. We start to test our educational models, and we start to gather information so that we are ready to move forward with the experimentation phase. In the experimentation phase is where we have clarity over who we are, who our target market is, what our content is, and now we start to experiment with the best way to make the biggest impact. We spend most of our time in this experimenting journey because it is here where we learn, where we grow, and where we move towards being recognized. Recognized means that your inner circle knows you. And not only does your inner circle know you, but your friends' friends start to know you. People start to think of you when they think of a specific topic. And our final step here is to influence our industries. This is where, the greatest of the greats sit. This is where people like Brene Brown, Simon Sinek, Sam Cawthorn sit and really really influence their industry. So this is a educational framework that I use in my webinars when I'm talking about a course around how to become a niche industry influencer. So each one of these steps has a problem that my ideal target market is facing. There is an idea of how they can move forward. There is a story around where they are and why that's making it challenging for them to be in that space and how they can move forward. And the whole purpose of this is to help people self-identify and build some tension so that they want to move forward. So this is a teachable framework that I created. Other ideas come, within wealth. It might be around flock to your shop, social media success for unique boutiques. And then you might break that down into your topic. You might have a hero model. So 3 keys to social media success for small businesses. And then you might have some foundational content. So your module 1, 2, and 3. Again, your main idea and the problem, and then what is your solution? And then each one of these will have a problem, idea, and a metaphor. with your 3 key ideas. Same with here, you've got aliveness, staying alive. So this is all around personal development and growth to avoid burnout. So here we've got our topic is staying alive. You've got a 3 stages model rather than 3 steps. And then again, you've got a foundation of content that can move forward. So you can look at your problems, ideas, metaphors, and create them, put them into a framework. Self-love, ripped jeans, no BS guide to self-love. Again, we can look at it at, the topic. We've got a model. So these are ingredients rather than steps or cycles. And again, you've got some foundations and some modules. And so we are going to be creating your unique method. So our next phase really here is to work a little bit by ourselves here in the room, and then we're going to put into breakout rooms. So you're going to work on creating your own teachable framework. You're going to review what you've got. You're going to look at the clusters, see how they fit together, and create a step-by-step methodology where you have a problem, an idea, and some stories that back that up. Now, remember, there's different ways that we can create this. So again, from my journey, I've created a teachable framework for a course. So the journey to become a niche industry influencer leads to a program. The program is around how do we plan, promote, and present ourselves. So there's how do we leverage technology? What type of event are we creating? What team do we need to promote? How do we leverage social media, email, and messaging? And how do we present? So how do we do good slide decks, engagement, and calls to action so that we can build our presence, make a difference, and influence our industry? And those 9 topics that are on the outside are literally the modules in the course when that course is